There are no kids. Meghan conspired to sell her fake babies after huge flop in the US. So what exactly comes next for Meghan Markle? Has she finally realized that her dreams of being this Hollywood star, the top royal, or maybe even the president of the US are no longer realistic? Especially now considering the fact that Biden is under fire. Well, it looks like Meghan has decided to focus on merching, similar to what she did with the Tig, but this time around she's going to use invisible children, Archie and Lilibet. And I'm really worried about those kids unless King Charles does something to intervene. The well-being of these kids is a lot more important than whether or not they're Meghan and Harry's or whether they were born by a surrogate. Now, it's true that the line of succession is incredibly important, but eventually that's all going to be sorted out. The real royals are slowly figuring things out with the stripping of the HRHs and all the new military appointments too, none of which have been offered to either Andrew or Harry. Last weekend, The Sun published an article saying that Harry and Meghan cannot agree about how to raise their kids. Well, it seems like this was just a puff piece, though, that was written to support Meghan by either Meghan or maybe WME, and it was probably published verbatim by The Sun. The article says that they've only been seen together in public 4 times over the past 8 months, and they have been bothered by claims that their marriage is in trouble. And now it seems like while Prince Harry is busy working on more solo projects and worrying about his kids' safety, Meghan is trying to make a big move back into public life, with Archie and Lilibet there by her side. Well, alright, the problem I see is I don't think Meghan ever did move out of public life. It seems I see something about Meghan Markle pretty much every single day. There is no way that public service was supposed to mean that she cannot go back to something that she never did in the first place. There have been so many rumors over the last few months that their marriage is in trouble. Harry has always had problems with the press, his safety, and his privacy, and of course that's partially due to the fact that his mother died in such a tragic and public way, and also the issue hasn't been helped by his drug abuse. Apparently, though, there is such a big scandal that has been brewing in the newsrooms over the last few months, and there's going to be a lot more coming out. More lies, more hurt, more deceit. Meghan Markle is a malignant psychopathic narcissist, and she just loves playing these nasty games because she is so desperate to get her name in the news. And when it comes to Harry, well, I think he's just incredibly weak. He's easily led, he's jealous, he's overly entitled, and he has a horrible temper, possibly to the point of not having any self-control whatsoever. And he also loves being the center of attention. He did love having those military titles because they made him feel like somebody important. Because the fact is, Harry does not have good self-esteem, and he also treats women very poorly. But I don't believe he tries to be evil, whereas Meghan Markle is always scheming and plotting and twisting. Unfortunately, Harry is just not very bright, and then the stuff he said in that book Spare about killing members of the Taliban, that had to have been the dumbest thing that he ever said. Not only did it upset the military community, but it also greatly increased the risk of attacks on him and his family from the Taliban. Harry wrote, "They were chess pieces taken off the board, bad guys eliminated before they kill good guys," and Harry claims that he killed 25 of them. Now, that's something that real military personnel would never ever say. Unfortunately, though, Meghan, with all her calling up of the paparazzi to come and take photos of them, well, she's also increased Harry's anxiety about the press and being photographed. But anyway, back to the future of Meghan Markle. Well, there has been so much controversy over the invisible Sussex kids. My opinion is that they came from surrogates, and so, of course, they shouldn't be in the line of succession. There's also a lot of controversy over Lilibet especially, and whether Meghan and Harry are even her biological parents. I can only come to the conclusion that Meghan must have assumed that having kids with Harry would guarantee a nice meal ticket for the rest of her days. She does love expensive stuff after all. Recently, after a few lovely days when there were no Meghan puff pieces, all of a sudden she managed to get herself some press coverage. Considering the fact that Meghan is incredibly competitive, maybe she rejected Archie, and I'm not really sure about Lilibet. It feels like something went wrong there with the surrogate, and maybe Meghan and Harry tried to find a child that had the right coloring. Could it be that Meghan is racist and she wanted 2 redhead kids? Yeah, I think so. Meghan is definitely not, though, a committed mother to the children, assuming they even exist. So if Archie really exists, well, he would be 4 years old. He's moved at least 4 or 5 times. He's had a whole bunch of different nannies taking care of him. And supposedly he has to stick to this very restrictive regime that comes from Meghan Markle, of course. Supposedly both parents appear to overdose on a regular basis on drugs and alcohol, and they have some very violent fights. If I recall correctly, Meghan's half-brother Thomas once said that she shouldn't be left alone with kids. There is something very wrong with Meghan, psychologically, mentally, and spiritually. Any small child around her would have to be affected by her, so I think there's a good reason to be very worried about the situation. And Harry is problematic for so many reasons that we all know about, but I don't think that he's overly controlling the way that Meghan is, and it doesn't seem like he's intentionally dangerous like Meghan is. So is any intervention at this point possible? Or, at least, is any assessment possible of their conditions? It really just proves how much of an unfit mother Meghan really is by throwing her kids into the public arena. That's something that she claims to care about, her privacy, I mean. And then she's just putting Archie and Lilibet out there. She's subjecting them to being bullied and made fun of, just like people do with her and Harry. It just proves how desperate Meghan is for attention using her poor kids. And if Meghan, in her sick, twisted mind, really believes that using her kids is going to force people to be nice to her, well, she's got another thing coming. She's opening up a whole other can of worms because nobody is ever going to give up putting her down, just like she's done to her own family and the royal family, too. Nobody's going to stop talking bad about her. I think it's important to give Meghan a taste of what she's going to get once she includes those kids. First of all, she hid them from everybody, and now she's wanting to put them out there on national TV. Harry, I hope he's ready to fight for custody of those kids. I think Meghan is going through some type of midlife crisis. She is at that age, after all, when menopause starts, and her hormones are probably kicking in, and she is mentally unwell. That is one of the reasons that we see her walking around with a winter coat in the middle of a heat wave in California. Meghan also cannot make up her mind about whether or not she wants to divorce Harry. I think she's going through a mental breakdown. There are many women who start menopause in their mid-40s, and by the time Meghan hits 50, well, she's going to be in full-blown menopause. Poor Harry. I mean, he really should have found a younger woman to marry. He needs to get ready for Meghan's psychotic behavior. I think things are going to get even worse as she's going through menopause. And she claims that she went to Taylor Swift's concert, but there were no photos taken of her. Well, considering that Meghan loves nothing more than to be photographed, I don't believe she was there. I think this was just a puff piece to get attention by using Taylor's name, and therefore she was trying to associate herself with Taylor Swift, despite the fact that Taylor refused to go on Meghan's podcast series. Last week's little walk, though, by Meghan, walking back and forth across the parking lot dressed in that camel-colored $1,600 coat and a $1,200 cashmere Hermes shawl, while the temperature was over 70 degrees. How weird was that? Well, that's the behavior of somebody who has completely lost their mind. And then the paparazzi guy finally got a photo of Meghan carefully showing off that dark blue Nucom biosignal processing disc on her arm. So I think now it's pretty obvious that Meghan Markle was just trying to merch the thing. How desperate can one woman be? My goodness. So desperate to be the center of attention, and also desperate to be viewed as a victim, somebody who needs help. And that's why I guess she was showing off that Nucom disc. I'm sure that Meghan is struggling right now because karma is coming back for her. So is it all about the money or lack thereof? Or is this just the desperation of a narcissist to be the center of attention? Or more likely both? If you ask me, both are going on. See, Meghan is not really that stupid. She has to realize the money is running out and her opportunities are also running out. Meghan's an over-the-hill actress and she doesn't have any talent. I always thought that Meghan planned to use those two kids for merching as a backup, and now her career is falling apart, so selling the children is really all she's got left. She didn't succeed in her mission to destroy the royal family, and she created so many enemies for herself in the process. Meghan believed that she would get a lot of attention from the media while the royals are on holiday in Balmoral, but it seems like Harry won that little battle. He looks so much happier in Japan and Singapore. He's there with Nacho, and he has gotten significant press coverage while raising money for Centavali. Well, maybe Meghan has finally come to understand that she needs Harry for press coverage, considering that now she has decided she's going to join him at the Invictus Games. Well, judging by last year's press coverage of the Invictus Games, this is not going to help her at all. Has she not learned her lesson? Don't bite the hand that feeds you? I worry that she'll never learn that one. And you, what do you think about Harry and Meghan's kids? Please tell me your opinion below in the comment section, and we can also discuss your thoughts and feelings. Remember to like and share my video with anybody else who needs it if you think my videos are helpful. And don't be afraid to click the subscribe button to get more updates in the future. Thank you so much for tuning in, have a lovely weekend, and we'll be back to see you all tomorrow.